Plaquemines Coastal Director P.J. Hahn spent the weekend with a dive team looking for oil in the Gulf. They found it under their feet.
So we really didn't get any good video shots, and we just happened to walk past here. One of the guys saw one of these crab holes, and when he stepped by it, oil squirted out. And look, you can see the ground, feel this ground, how it moves.
You can see it kind of bubbling out of there.
They used a piece of grass like a dipstick.
Nothing came out on it, so we got a deeper, longer stick, went down a lot deeper, pulled it out, and oil just started bubbling out of the ground. See it starting to ooze out?
On this second trip, Hahn brings along a shovel.
Ooh, that's heavy. John, I'd have never thought that this oil would be this deep underground.
This island was sort of ground zero weeks ago. There was oil everywhere.
What happened on this island? How was this impacted by oil?
Well, this is the barrier island, part of the barrier island chain. So what happened was when the oil spill occurred and the wind shifted and the oil came this direction, this whole area is the area that got hit first. And it's a good thing for us because it protects this marsh area back here.
Anyone flying over it today would never know there was a problem below.
It seems to me, if nobody ever goes looking for this, you'd
have never found it. But over time, as we'd have had a storm, if we had a major hurricane or a storm blow through here and take some of this top layer off, you'd be finding it in the marsh and everybody would be wondering where it came from.
Hahn finds oil in the water.
I mean, there's an instant sheen.
This is below the surface. Yeah, again, coming out here, you didn't see anything on top of the surface. Now that we did that, you can see the oil that's coming out of there. Let's see if anything comes out of there. See the sheen? See the oil sheen coming out of here?
On the beach, there is some oil on the surface, but heavily weathered, not Jed Clampett's oil from below.
And we found, if you go in here, you'll find a lot of dead hermit crabs. Well, I think when these crabs start digging through here and go down a couple feet, they're hitting this oil, and that's what's causing this oil to bubble up out of here. If it wasn't for the crabs, we probably would have never noticed that.
No one knows how much oil could be found below. Here's what it's like just 20 feet from the heavier stuff.
Let me just see. But this tide came through here. Let's see what we find. Just turn some of this dirt over.
Hahn finds only a light sheen. He would like better answers.
I would think one of the things that we need to ask BP to do is start taking soil samples all in this area and see how deep the oil really is. There's some more coming out right here on the side here.
BP has promised us an interview tomorrow morning to talk about how much of an issue this might be and what can or should be done about it.
News 5 is doing some testing of our own. More than a week has passed since Alabama beaches have seen significant oil. And for the most part, the water looks okay. While it may be tempting to take a quick dip, you may think twice after seeing this report. It's a News 5 investigation testing the waters. We want to get a sample just over here where there are people actually in the water.
Our News 5 investigation took us from Gulf Shores to Orange Beach, to Katrina Key, to the Dolphin Island Marina. We collected samples of water, sand, and when we saw kids digging...
Do you mind if we get some water out of your sand hole here?
We got a sample of that, too. To our eye, the water looked pretty normal until we took those samples to a lab.
When testing for oil or grease, how much would be normal on the beach?
I wouldn't think that you'd find very much on the beach. There's no real normal amount. Normal is non-detected.
Bob Naiman is a chemist with nearly 30 years of experience. He tested our water and sand for oil and petroleum. Naiman says he wouldn't expect to see any more than 5 parts per million of the greasy stuff. But when he started testing the water, this is what he found. The first sample, taken just off Katrina Key, tested positive for more than 3 times that, 16 parts per million of oil and petroleum. The second sample was water from Orange Beach. Here we saw light sheen, and the test confirmed, coming back with 29 parts per million. In Gulf Shores, we came across some kids digging in the sand, some 20 yards from any waves.
You mind if I get a sample of your water?
But even there, the sample came back 51 parts per million. The numbers keep getting higher. Gulf Shores beach water, right where people were swimming, showed 66 parts per million. And the sand, where beachgoers are walking, has 211 parts per million. The sixth sample was a spot in Orange Beach where, again, we found kids playing. And we found our highest content of oil and petroleum, 221 parts per million. But the tests didn't stop there. The sample we haven't yet told you about is the one collected from Dolphin Island Marina near some boom, which we can only imagine's been handled by cleanup workers. When Naaman added an organic solvent to separate the oil from the water, just like he did with all the other samples, this sample exploded right in his lab.
I mean, like almost instantaneous. Actually, maybe 1 second. It's just weird.
The results surprised even our chemist.
We think that it most likely happened due to the presence of either methanol or methane gas or the presence of the dispersant, Corexit.
Unfortunately, the sample was destroyed in the explosion, so we'll have to get more and do a different kind of test to get to the bottom of what's in it.
There are two things that we can take away from the test we did. First, even if you don't see oil on the beach or in the water, chances are it's there. All of our tests from Orange Beach to Dolphin Island showed an abnormal presence of oil. And second, while we don't know exactly what caused that Dolphin Island Marina sample to explode, it has certainly caught our interest. News 5 will test that water for chemicals, specifically chemicals linked to the dispersant being used in the Gulf, Corexit.